Welcome to the Power of Design podcast, where we have inspiring conversations that explore the intersection of architecture, construction, and real estate, so we can understand the dynamics and trends that shape an exciting and powerful built environment. This is your host, Jack Osa. In today's episode of the Power of Design podcast, we are talking to Amy Sullivan Hicks. Amy is a master networker, connector of people and opportunities. She is the president of the Associated Builders and Contractors, ABC Carolinas. With more than 20 years of experience in business development in the design and construction industry, Amy has evolved her career leveraging the power of her network. I enjoyed my conversation with her because she brings a lot of energy, enthusiasm, and knowledge to our conversation. We talk about the biggest challenges the construction industry is facing, how to become better at marketing and selling construction services, and what does it take to be a great business development professional. This is my conversation with Amy. Amy, welcome to the Power of Design podcast. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
No, I'm excited to have you. Amy, you have an incredible track record of generating business sales and developing high-quality relationships. What does it mean to be a connector of people and opportunities?
You know, I think about this, and I think that what it means is truly being authentic in the relationships that you develop. So where I am looking for how I can be of help to someone else and then figure out how to connect them to what their need is. So it's not just to have a meeting to ask for business. It's a meeting to develop that relationship.
Yep.
And then to figure out how I can make that connection for that person, or that next connection for that person.
Yeah. And why do you think that's not natural for everybody?
I think that a lot of people are just looking for the next deal. I mean, they just want to hit and run, get the deal, move on. Relationships to a lot of people aren't important. It's more about that next deal, getting to that next line. And I think that we would all benefit more by taking a step back and getting to know the person we're going to do business with, especially if you want the repeat business.
Yeah, and it's amazing how when you really believe that and you execute it, you know, what you're looking for, it comes to you at some point or the other. You don't know when or how, but it just comes back. Mm-hmm. You know, when you're more concerned about adding value to people and helping them get what you want, you don't need to worry too much because at some point it's going to come back to you.
I agree. And I think that if you take that approach, like you said, I typically don't go into a meeting asking for that next thing, but one day down the road, something may pop up. And again, going back to connecting, I'll remember, who was that person who had that relationship? And then I might reach out at that point in time and say, I remember you said this. Can you help me out? And that's when it comes back to you.
You know, that's one of the interesting things to me about social media. If you take the technology aside for a second, we're still talking about social, you know, society, people talking to another. And I think many people, they're just not using the tools, you know, like social media channels properly because they're selling. So you don't show up and meet a person and start selling and they're going to buy immediately. You need to develop the trust, you know, the understanding. You know, people do business with people they know, like, and trust, but they use the digital medium to sell and nobody's going to buy.
You know, it's amazing. And I may offend people when I make this statement, and I'm really not going to apologize, but on LinkedIn lately, since my job has changed, and all of a sudden I'm popping up now, I'm getting a lot of requests from people. And it's not, I want to connect with you. It's, did you know how I can do this?
Yes.
Did you know how I can do this for you? And I'm going, first of all, I don't even know you, but, you know, thank you for the welcome and the congratulations. But then I'm like, I'm not going to do business.
Oh, I know.
If that's what you're going right after.
Yeah, that's, you know, you need to go through the process. Know, like, trust. Mm-hmm. And you can use the digital mediums to do that, but they're not going to trust you right away. They trust you if they see consistency, if they see your content, if they see what you're about. And at some point they might buy, but that's way down the line.
Correct.
One of the things I've noticed in LinkedIn, the maybe last couple of months, there might be like a service or something when you can do like automated follow-ups. Have you received that? And
I've
it's
seen that.
horrible. It's so impersonal. So
It
you
is.
accept a request from somebody that maybe sounds aligned in the industry. I'm like, okay, great. I want to connect with this person. And then it's these 3 paragraphs that are generic.
Dissertation.
and I don't reply or anything. And then next week. And I'm like, oh my God, dude.
It's like, if I didn't respond to you last week, I'm not going to respond to you this week. And it's
I know.
probably not going to be a favorable response. So thank you. Nice to meet you. But let's move on.
Yeah. Cool. So Amy, I'd like to know more about yourself. Where did you grow up?
So I was born in Dover, Delaware. My dad was in the Air Force at Dover. I was born during Vietnam. And when he returned, we moved to Gastonia, North Carolina.
Wow. Big city.
Big city, metropolis.
Yeah. So you grew up in Gastonia, went to school.
Went to high school at Ashbrook High School in Gastonia, attended Appalachian State for 1 year, and then transferred over to UNC Charlotte, where I spent the rest of the 3 years and graduated with a degree in business administration and marketing.
Nice. So is that what you wanted to do when you had to decide what to study? You said, yeah, business administration and marketing.
What I really wanted to do was be a cruise director like Love Boat. That's what I really wanted to do when I grew up. That was my dream job. But what I realized is there's a lot of weekends involved in that and a lot of night. And I said, no.
Yeah.
But I always knew I wanted to be around people.
Yeah.
And immediately after graduating, I started working for a swimming pool company, family owned and operated, actually in college. And they gave me a taste of sales, going out and meeting people. I was 22 years old. And I loved it. I loved being on the road. I mean, I was young and single and out on the road meeting people.
Crazy.
I thought it was the neatest thing. Not really. Not really. But I really enjoyed that. And, from there, I was able to parlay that chemical sales background, because it was swimming pool chemicals, to working for Ashland Chemical, big chemical company. So was able to parlay it into that type of relationship. So I always stayed in sales in one capacity or another, business development, sales, relationships.
Yeah. And then what was the next job?
So after that, I got involved with an executive suite company, a global executive suite company based in, I was based in Charlotte, and I did that for 13 years. I was lucky enough to have the ability to work in Cleveland, Ohio. I worked in Tallahassee, a little bit down in Florida. I then was able to cover the Charleston market as well as Columbia. So through those years, I was able to develop relationships in those markets as well. And those relationships were predominantly commercial real estate brokers and even our clients who lease space from us. A lot of them were financial people, a lot of people involved in development, architects, things such as that.
Yeah. And how did you get into the, construction real estate world?
Things happen for reasons. When I left the executive suite, I had 13 years of contacts that were related to construction, commercial real estate. And I did not want to part with those. And I wasn't sure how to do it. I considered going into brokerage. And I was informed of an opportunity with an accounting firm, and my focus would be general contractors and developers. And I thought, I could parlay my broker relationships and some of the general contractors that I knew into that. So I did that for 2 years, and I was able to truly beef up the general contractor aspect and the developer aspect. Got involved with a lot of organizations in the region that supported that. So my relationships then broadened even further.
Yeah.
And then when that company went through a merger, it just wasn't a good fit at that point anymore. And I was lucky enough to have networked with people who ran an engineering firm. And I was there for 6 years. And that's where my network just exploded.
Wow.
In terms of, being an engineering firm that does geotechnical, environmental materials testing.
Yeah.
Your client is anyone who touches a building or a piece of property.
Yes.
Anyone. So I was able to call on a variety of different, industries within the design world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think was the ingredient that made that point explode your impact with that network that you have been cultivating for years?
I think it was still the ability to take those relationships I developed early on, and they stuck with me. Like, I had clients who were with me at the executive suite who were developers calling me up and going, I had no idea you were now working for an engineering firm or even accounting firm. We need our audit and tax done. Or, we need some engineering done. So I was able to hang on to some of those relationships going back 13 years because they trusted me. They knew that if I said it was going to get done, it was going to get done, even though I wasn't the engineer, I wasn't the CPA, but they had someone to call who knew that that person would get it done.
Right.
So I think that helped. I also think that getting involved with organizations, taking on leadership roles within those organizations so that you could develop even deeper relationships. And you're also that go-to for that organization.
Right.
And I think that helped immensely.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you are the front end generating the contact with the clients, the customers. However, you're not the one, doing the actual work.
No.
But it seems that they trust you because they trust that you will not go to a place where they cannot deliver. They trust your judgment that if she's going there, she already vetted that company for us. So we're good to go. That's amazing. I always talk about what people buy or what people sell, and people don't buy products or services. They buy experiences. They buy how you feel when you're getting those products, those services. And the element of trust is a huge thing that they're buying.
Oh, it's huge. And I think that, and I was just told this yesterday by someone who I've done business with, that if they cannot contact a business developer or whoever that person is who sold them that service or product, if they don't have that go-to person that they can call 24/7 for something good or something bad, they will not do business with that company, just because the people that are actually doing the services, let's say engineers or CPAs, that's what they're focused on. That's what they're good at.
Yeah.
So to be able to pick up the phone and say, we have a problem, they know they're going to get it. The person they're contacting is going to get it done. And if they don't have that go-to, that trust is lost.
Yeah.
Because if they don't have that, I guess that feel of comfort, the experience, the feeling of the experience that they once had.
Yeah. I know that today we have a lot of tools, LinkedIn, CRM, a lot of deals, leveraging technology to keep up with people and stuff. How have you been evolving your techniques or strategies to keep in touch with people? Because that's basically what you do. How have that been involved and what's your toolkit? Because I want it.
I have to say that LinkedIn still continues to be a really good tool. Like literally, as soon as I have a meeting with someone, it is my goal within 24 hours to get back to wherever I'm going to be, connect with them on LinkedIn, thank them for the meeting, and connect that way. And then I can also see who their connections are to figure out, do we know very similar people? So LinkedIn has continued to be a tool. I have to say that with the current situation we're in with the pandemic, I really didn't use video that much, but of course we're all Zoomers or Teamers or whatever we're doing now, but Zoom has come in very handy for my current role. And even when I was in between just recently, being able to keep that network going to say, I want to see your face.
Right.
Like we're business developers, sales people. We are people. We've got to see each other. If we can't hug, we have to see each other.
Sure.
So, all the Zooming has been very helpful in terms of a technology standpoint, staying in touch. I think we're all getting tired, but it's still working.
Sure. What advice would you give to a young professional who wants to engage in that role of business development and grow in that area?
It's a great question. I think I hate to keep using the word, but I think it goes back to being true to yourself. Know who you are, know what your limitations are. Do not ever overpromise. Be authentic in your promises. And from there, that's all that's going to do is set your groundwork for whatever you want to become. You don't have to be the architect or the engineer or the CPA or the attorney. You have to be a resource for them. And that involves connections and connecting people so that one day you can go back and go, hey, I work for this engineering firm.
Yeah.
We would really like to have your business, or how can we move forward with having a conversation about that?
What advice will you give me if I want to find a good business development person, a young person that wants to grow, that I can work with, that we can develop a, good working dynamic and relationship to help me grow my business?
I think, and I've had actually several young professionals that have worked with me, especially in my last endeavor with the engineering firm. finding someone who is not afraid to go out and have conversations. It is so hard, and I'm going to stereotype.
Yeah.
It is so hard to find young people now who will put down the phone, put down the email, and pick up the phone, or send that first initial email out. When is it good to talk with you? Because you just want to call someone in the middle of the day. And sometimes we do that, but it's finding someone who's not afraid to do that. And I think that, and the three people who've worked for me all have diverse and different backgrounds. I believe most of them do have like a marketing degree in some capacity, but it's finding that personality.
Yeah.
That again, that is authentic to you when you're interviewing. If you feel like a warm and fuzzies, that person's going to do a good job.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting, because I've been doing, I'm the doer in my business, but I also sell, and I realize I love selling. It's fun. It's super fun. Sometimes I'm like, maybe I should be selling all the time. Yeah. But sometimes I think, well, maybe if somebody's helped me sell, because I also like doing the thing. That would be very nice if there is other ways of selling. So that's always something that it's in my mind. And I think in general, sometimes people see business development or sales like, not a very fun thing to do, because I know it's hard. When people call me, I get so much respect, and I give them my time and I listen to them, because I don't call. I'm scared. But the ability to do that and like follow up and try and ask and show, that's huge. That is huge. Yeah. And I will say, I used to believe that the cold call was dead. That was my philosophy actually not too long ago, which part of me still believes that it is dead in a way. Warm introductions are, in my opinion, the best way to get your foot in the door quick. Right. Yeah. But you're right. I think now given the times that we're in, we can't meet face to face. So the ability to be able to pick up the phone, you're right, give that person a chance. They're doing the best they can. Yeah. And you never know where that's going to go. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. I respect a lot of people who do that. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. Cool. Tell me about your role today. What are you doing? So during this past 3 months, I went from working with the engineering firm to being the president and CEO of the Associated Builders and Contractors of the Carolinas. Okay. We are a trade organization, national trade organization that supports merit shop and free enterprise businesses, general contractors, suppliers, vendors, anyone really who is related to our industry, architects as well. Sure. With our mission being a couple different folds. One would be a governmental affairs side, where we do lobby on behalf of our industry, keep us essential, keep the laws in place that benefit workers from a safety standpoint, from keeping businesses going. We also have an apprenticeship or an educational arm, a safety program in place where we, at least in the Carolinas, we focus a lot on the electrical apprenticeship program. So we have that going strong here. And then we also have the networking arm. So it's, again, bringing people together within the industry. So contractors can meet subs, the subcontractors can meet the contractors, and then everyone gets to meet the vendors. So it's sort of a mix of everything within the industry. Yeah. So is there like a certain type of contractor, that they make, certain millions of amount, or is all kinds, as long as you're a licensed general contractor? As long as we have different categories. So if you're a licensed general contractor, you're in this category. And then that's over here. And then really anybody. We've got attorneys, we have bankers, we have insurance companies. Anyone who basically feeds into the industry is who we encourage to join. Yeah. And what's the benefit that, let's say, a small general contractor or subcontractor will get from being a member? Well, first of all, we do offer benefits. So, in terms of discounts for supplies, insurance, car rentals, things such as that, we offer those discounts directly to our employees. I think, secondly, it's taking advantage of the network that's already in place. If you're a small general contractor and maybe you don't have a business development person, send your project managers, estimators, they all come to our events. Whether we recognize it or not, everyone within a company does business development. Right. Oh, sure. We know this. Yeah. So having those people come to a large event where
they don't have to have individual meetings set up, for the next 4 weeks. They can meet a lot of people at one point.
Yeah.
Plus the lobbying arm, we have lobbyists nationally, locally. You don't have to go out and do that. We do that on your behalf, assuming you believe in our mission.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Tell me about, in general, out of all the membership, what do you think is the biggest problem they're facing today? A contractor, general contractor, builders.
I think it's a couple different levels. I think number one, from a contractor perspective, and I've talked to several, their immediate problem is being able to estimate what their future sales look like. Like, how do they estimate the stops and goes that have happened?
Yeah.
That seems to be the number one concern in the environment today. I think ongoing, and this is something that ABC nationally and locally tries to help go through the apprenticeship program and education, is labor, the workforce. Trying to find skilled workers. A lot of non-skilled workers are out there, but trying to find those skilled workers and trying to educate parents, trying to educate schools that don't try to fit this kid who may not be made to go to a 4-year degreed college program. Don't force them to do that. Look at all these things they could be doing.
Oh, yeah.
There's all these apprenticeship programs that can be offered to teach them. They get on board with electrical contractor, at least in our case, because that's what we focus on. They're going to pay for you to go get your apprenticeship. They're going to pay for you to go through that program. So I think that I still continue to hear, skilled workers, number one problem, being able to, forecast the future. What do future sales look like?
Yeah.
And I think it's seeing people, over and over again. We've actually had 4 face-to-face meetings, and we have 7 councils in the Carolinas. We've had a face-to-face in Charlotte, a face-to-face in Wilmington, Raleigh, as well as Charleston. And everyone is so happy to see each other. We've been doing it safely, I must say, knock on wood, it's been good. But I think that the challenge a lot of people face now is their pipe was full. Their pipeline was full. They were able to meet with people, and they have those relationships, but they can't make any new ones. So how do you keep that funnel going? And I think it's through the face-to-faces and being able to get out.
We'll be right back with more from the Power of Design podcast.
The Power of Design podcast is brought to you by OSA Studio, a multidisciplinary design firm focused on creating impactful experiences through the power of design. We partner with our clients to create buildings, interior spaces, brands, and strategies that help you deliver a successful project. As a minority-owned firm, we are committed to building a diverse platform of curious and driven design professionals so we can together pursue our full potential. For more information, please visit us at www.osastudio.com.
I do a lot of brand design work, brand consulting within, the design and construction industry. And I will think, and you tell me if I'm wrong, one of the biggest problems of the general contracting and subcontracting community is their ability to articulate what makes them unique in the marketplace and to articulate what's the value they're bringing to their clients. So, and the problem that brings is low. They become a low-cost provider because anybody can do it, but they don't know how to explain why what they're doing is special, which could be a combination of many different things, but they don't have that understanding. And I think it's because just construction, because of the nature of the craft, is very rough. It's people with tools and hitting things and strong, and they're so passionate about that thing that it's hard to, for a second, have a big picture and understand there is a business flow here. There is a business model. There is somebody we need to influence. If you want to make more money or charge more for your craft, you need to look much better. You need to play at a different game. And I think that's a big problem, or not a problem, an opportunity that the community has. Yeah, and especially the engagement in digital mediums because of the same reason. everything is very face-to-face, right? But today, whoever has an A game in Instagram, LinkedIn, and is doing videos and is engaging with their, community, they're going to get that business.
They are. And I think that, again, going back, especially now that we can't get out face to face, and this goes into that whole, they can't get new clients. Like, how do they get the new clients? And I think that going to the technology aspect part, that's how you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to sort of engage branding specialists, marketing specialists. This is not the time to let go of your marketing and your business development people. Right. Not the time to do it. Yeah. Because that faucet has got to constantly, the hose has to constantly run.
Yes.
You just can't turn the faucet off. And I think that companies who understand that and they get it, they're going to have no problems. It's the ones that think, oh, this is overhead. Why would I want to do it?
Yeah.
They're going to be the ones playing catch up at the end.
Yeah. I love that, because when I started my firm, as an architecture firm, that's my basic business model, selling architectural services. But I've always been very interested in sales, business development, marketing, in influencing decision making. And as I started interacting with the marketplace, people started asking, "Hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that?" And I realized that I was bringing huge value, because as an architect, I sit with my clients interviewing general contractors. I help them make that decision. So I understand how people in this community sell, and they all sell the same way. We're going to be on time, on budget, on schedule. These are the photos of my project, and we're the best. Thank you. Next one. The next one tells the same story.
Yeah.
So if you're presenting, you can do it. Like, they're not going to consider somebody who they don't think they can do the job, but they don't know how to take it one step further to influence the decision to say, "Oh, your business is unique because 1, 2, 3, I want to go with you." And it's, to me, an emotional connection. It's not even a rational connection. Yeah. At the end of the day, if you're playing in business and you're known in the community, well, you're professional. You say what you do something, you say something and you do it. But the decision making, that's the one you need to influence.
Absolutely. And I'm, looking at the Charlotte marketplace, it's always been pretty much the same players probably up until the past 5 years. Same players in town, great relationships. I'm not gonna say they took those for granted, but now that new players are coming in, players with a lot of technology behind them, from Chicago and bigger cities, I think it's encouraged our existing contractors and subs to up their game. Because again, if they don't, they're going to be left in the dust with new technology coming in.
Yeah, it's like anything. Like, probably when email started, some people didn't have email and they were fine. But if you don't have an email today, it's going to be like, dude,
how do we communicate?
I think that's happening really fast. And because of the COVID situation, it's accelerating the adoption of that technology. If you don't have a strategy behind your social media presence, everybody else that has one is going to take on the business. And what I'm realizing, because I spend a lot of time online with our community, design, construction, real estate, everybody has a social media presence. Very few people have a social media strategy.
Yes.
There's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Because a presence is, you're there. But
I can post something.
Yeah.
Hit the button.
Yeah. But there is no idea behind it. There are no results. So because they don't see results, they don't see the value, because you haven't put on the work or invested in understanding how to make that work so it'll become a business later on. I've realized just with the podcast that I've been doing, this is my 26, that I do it for free. I mean, I pay for everything and I'm just adding value to the community. And a lot of people that meet me, they already went through know and like, and they're almost trusting me. Like, many people I have met first time and they're ready to buy. They're like, hey, can you do this for me?
Well, they feel like they know you. They've already had a conversation with you in their head.
Right. And in their head, they say, okay, there is consistency. It's always doing here. I see this. That makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. And people don't realize that it's a tool that is ready available to everybody. Mm-hmm.
I think that especially with the podcast, and I'm a little backwards. It's taken me a while to get into them, but I'm getting into them. And I think that it, like you said, I think it pre-introduces you to somebody. Mm-hmm. You sort of know how they talk, you know
Right.
their rhythm, you know sort
Yeah.
of how they move. So when you meet them, it's like, oh, we go way
That's
back.
right.
But it's keeping you in touch. Number one, with the people that you already know, but then as we who are on your show share it, it just blows up your network, like all the
Yes.
other people you're exposed to,
Oh, yeah.
which is amazing.
Yeah. There are many podcasts that I listen to that I feel that if I see the person face to face, we can have beers and I can talk to them for hours.
Yeah.
I know, I
It's a
feel that I
relationship.
know
You're
them.
already in the relationship.
Yeah. And they don't know it. So, nobody becomes the president of something just because. I want to know what makes you good at what you do, and what are the skills that you have that nobody else have that brought you to the position that you are in today.
So I've been a member of ABC Carolinas since 2012. I was a member. I was active on a couple committees. I was there during the heyday and during the not so heyday. So I saw the ebbs and flows of what was going on. And, I loved my former career. It was amazing. I still consider them family. But, about the first year, I started thinking, it's time to do something a little bit different. Just not sure what that is. And I've been approached by ABC, just basic conversations. And what they were looking for is someone who had relationships. It goes back to that.
Yeah.
I can develop other skills behind the CEO and president title, but they really wanted someone who could come in and, number one, manage the team. There's 5 of us total. So I manage 4 staff members who are amazing. And then re-engage those members who had disengaged when things took a dip.
Yeah.
COVID did not help. So you're taking another dip because of that. But it was to re-engage or to re-energize the chapter. Yeah. And going back to connector of people and opportunities, I brought that to the table. Mm-hmm. And again, I had been there, done that, saw what worked, saw what definitely didn't work.
Yeah.
Hopefully with those experiences, make it better. Yeah. So I think that, again, the ability to lead people, to get people back engaged, I hope if they're listening to this, they'll agree that that's why they hire me. Yeah.
So what do you think is going to be, what do you think the next 6 months will be like for the ABC?
I think that people now more than ever need people. Like as I mentioned, we've had 4 face-to-face events.
Yeah.
People are dying to do those. We have a lot more golf tournaments coming up. Some of our conferences and conventions that we would normally have are not going to take place. We're trying to figure out how to be creative around that. But I think that our membership, people are coming back. New people are coming in. I think that our membership is going to grow. I think, again, just because people need people. They need new relationships. And if you are sitting at home and you're talking to the same client, which I love it because, repeat business is amazing, but now you get to go out and meet new people. So I think that bringing that to the table, I think that the political environment as it is, our ability to go out and lobby on behalf, that's going to change or maybe not change. Who knows what's going to happen in the next less than 100 days.
Yeah.
But I think that at least from an ABC standpoint, we're just going to get stronger because of those relationships and people needing the apprenticeship programs, the safety programs. We are able to come together and do those safely. And we've taken our programs virtually. Again, talking about how technology, this pandemic has created the urgency. We've been sort of toying with virtual apprenticeship programs, and now we're doing it. We're still putting it together. We have 2 weeks. But we're being forced to do those things to bring people together in ways we never thought about.
Sure.
So,
yeah. I love being in Charlotte. I love the dynamic we have. I love the city. And I'm very excited about the next 10 years of me being a business owner here in our industry. What do you think in an ideal world that environment will be for the construction community?
I think it's all going to be technology. I mean, obviously construction, like you said, is hammering things and pounding things. That's not going to change. I mean, construction is construction. Look around this area here and everything that's going up. I think that technology is truly going to change things, whether it be, reporting that has been done manually or reporting that needs to be in the field. That's all going to be sent through computers now. Yeah. Handheld devices. I think at least the firm I was with already had handheld devices. We're literally technicians out there, does the report. Yeah. It is presented right there the PE has to sign off on it, but at least the developer knows here's what we're finding right now.
Yeah.
I think that's going to become the way of the future for everybody. If things don't get back to normal in terms of being able to go into an office, I think most people are going to go virtual. I think most industries today can do it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a rotating system. I think that we're going to miss some of the human contact, where maybe one group of people come in on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. The other shift comes in on Tuesdays, Thursdays. So you're going to miss that, your colleagues. So I think that from a personal standpoint, that's going to change. From business development, construction, whatever firm you work for, I think we have to be more creative. Even from a membership-based organization, we have to be more creative on how we engage people. I've seen people sending Grubhub or DoorDash gift certificates to people saying, hey, have lunch on us. We'll do a Zoom call while we both eat. Is that okay with you? Mm-hmm. Just things like that. Or we're trying to plan a virtual wine tasting or a bourbon tasting, or I'm going to send you the ingredients for a meal and we're going to cook it together.
Yeah, that's cool.
just things to stay engaged. But I think that, hardcore construction, I think it's going to be technology driven, even more so than it is today.
Yeah. I think just because of your, your confidence, your authenticity, and who you are, you have been thriving in a male-dominated industry. Why do you think that is, and what do you think needs to happen to make the industry more open and diverse?
I've always I played sports growing up, and typically I was the only girl on the softball field or the baseball field or actually the football field or anything that involved athletics. I played, organized sports through high school as well. So I've always been in sort of a male-dominated world. My best friends were typically boys growing up.
Sure.
So I think that for me, coming into a male-dominated industry, it didn't bother me. Like it was just sort of like my friends. These are my people.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that, first of all, if I had known about this industry as a child, who knows what I would be doing? I'd be out there with a hard hat on, with a hammer in my hand. But I think we need to let young girls know about the industry, know that it is okay that you don't go through that 4-year degree, or that you do. You go to project management. Go to Clemson, go to NC State, go become an engineer. Go to those schools that will promote the STEM education for you. Or if you're not inclined to do that, go work for an electrician. Go work for a plumber.
Yeah.
Go find what your passion is. But I think it's educating young women that there are jobs, very good jobs in this industry. You don't have to go take the job down the road that like a 4-year degree might send you to. You can do anything you want to do.
Yeah. And there is huge value that I've seen, because that also happens in architecture. Like in architecture, there are not a lot of women.
I know.
But I've been exposed to working with a lot of women and being in teams where you have that other perspective. And it's amazing what you get. That collaboration, just a whole different understanding of the world, because, believe it or not, women and men think very different ways. But when you understand what each of those bring to the table, and that's amazing. And I think there is a huge need for more women thinking and leadership in the construction industry.
No, I agree. And this is interesting. So when I first came on board with ABC, I sat down with the Charlotte council chair, and we just sat down, and he handed me a list, and he has 2 daughters and a son. And he said, and I've known him for years, he goes, what do you notice about this list? Call it 15 people. I went, there's not a single woman on that list. He goes, exactly. I need your help.
Yeah.
So I picked up the phone and I called 5 women that are either members, have been members. And I said, first of all, you need to rejoin, please. Thank you. And secondly, I want you on the council, and I want you active on the council. And if you can't, I understand, but I want you to take a leadership role, because we need diverse thinking. Mm-hmm. We all get into that bubble.
Yeah.
And we don't see outside it. A golf tournament's great. Let's go do a golf tournament. Well,
yeah.
You don't want me to play golf.
Yes.
I can do it. It is just not pretty.
Yeah.
But let's start thinking of different ways to engage. We have to send a unified message, but we can have different ideas on doing it.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I even found that within the professional services world, because I'm an architect, and there are just a few minority-owned architecture firms, at least here in Charlotte. And what I realized that we bring to the table is a whole different point of view, just because of who you are, your background, the way you're engaged with the world, your history. You bring something very different to the table. But until today, I don't think we understand that. I think we just need to check a box because diversity is required on this project. So let's check the box. But we don't realize, one, the impact that we have once we give somebody an opportunity. You can change somebody else's life. I mean, my life has been changed because of many people have been giving me opportunities here. And it happened when I came first day, and it's still happening today. But it's when you have the willingness to do that, that is, I think, going back to authenticity and wanting to give back and help, the impact is gigantic.
No, it truly is. I think that when you bring in I do want to say that I think that there's a difference between diversity and inclusion. I think that just to have someone of a different ethnic background or sexual orientation or whatever it may be on a board or on a committee, just to check your box, like you were saying, is wrong. You need to get them. Yeah. You need their opinion.
Right.
You need their views. And without that, all it is check.
Sure.
And it does nothing for anybody, but everyone brings a different culture to the table, which I think is fascinating when you actually sit down and listen to everybody talk. It's like, oh, I never would have thought about that. Well, of course you wouldn't, because you haven't had that experience. So, yeah.
Amy, the final question is, and you can take it any way you want, is how does the power of design impact who you are and what you do?
I've been thinking about this one. You know, two ways I look at it. Number one is, if you are a person of belief, your life has been designed and you don't even know it. And of course, we make decisions. This is my belief. We make decisions, and on those decisions, things happen.
Yeah.
So to me, I look at it as, would I have ever thought I would be in this position? Not necessarily, but I designed my path consciously or subconsciously to be where I am today. But I also think that there's a higher being involved in this, and that design was put into place. Yeah. So I look at that as like the big power of design. But then I look at the lines that connect people. And, you know, you have a straight line, you and I, but then you and I and, you know, a contractor, you and I, we know this developer, and then those lines. And it would be interesting to take like your LinkedIn connections and map it and see what design comes up with. Yeah. I think that when you look at that, it's like, what would that design pattern look like?
Yeah.
And the give and take, and the arrows going both ways. So I look at it twofold on that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, Amy, thank you so much for being here today. I'm really thankful we had this opportunity. Thank you for coming. You know, we probably have a couple of interactions, and you've been very open and gracious to share your time and your expertise and your charisma. And, you know, I wish you the best, and I look forward to stay in touch.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Power of Design podcast. Remember to rate and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Find out more about Jack and Osa Studio at osastudio.com and follow us on Instagram at the Power of Design podcast. Thank you.